You know that feeling? I think everyone has it. You got like $100 in your pocket.
Right.
Maybe it's a bonus, maybe birthday money, and you just open your phone and you're scrolling looking for that one magic ticket. The stock that's about to pop, the coin going to the moon. You're just thinking, how do I turn this 100 into 1,000 by next Tuesday?
It is the universal dream. And honestly, it's the universal trap.
Right. We all want the shortcut. But we're looking at this fascinating strategic guide today written for the 2026 landscape, and it just dumps a bucket of ice water on that entire mindset.
It really does. It argues that the lucky braid just doesn't exist for, 99% of people. Instead, the real breakthrough comes from a combination of two incredibly boring things.
Yes. Cash flow and a base.
Boring is the key word. But, boring is what works. The core argument here is that people confuse investing with gambling.
Yeah.
In 2026, the breakthrough isn't finding a lottery ticket asset. It's building an engine. That's your cash flow. And then having a boring, safe place to store that fuel.
Cash flow makes you durable. A base makes you compounding. That's the quote that really jumped out at me.
It's the thesis of the whole deep dive, really.
So we have a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the number one mistake that just wipes beginners out. And spoiler, it's psychological, not technical. Then we'll get into 5 specific ways to generate that cash flow. And I don't mean like fill out surveys online. I mean actual business model.
No, we won't stop there. We'll break down the 5 blocks of the investing base, and then we have a 30-day action plan to actually get you started.
Yes.
But of course, before we dive in, the standard disclaimer. We are analyzing educational material here. This is not financial advice. Your local laws, your taxes, that's all on you.
Okay, let's start with that punch to the gut. The guide talks about the number one mistake. I think most people assume the mistake is, buying the wrong thing.
That's what we tell ourselves.
It's like, oh, I bought tech company X instead of Y.
Right. But the real mistake is actually investing money that isn't free.
Define free.
I mean, money that has no other job. Money you don't need for rent, for bills, for an emergency car repair. See, on paper, $1,000 is just $1,000. The math is the math.
Sure.
But psychologically, biologically, $1,000 you need for rent feels totally different than $1,000 of, surplus.
Oh, absolutely. If I'm trading with my rent money, I'm sweating every single time that graph dips down.
Exactly. You enter what this guide calls the emotional loop. You buy something, you're excited, but then a dip happens. It always does.
Always.
If that money is true surplus, you just look at the dip and say, it'll come back. But if that money is your rent, that dip is a direct threat to your survival.
It triggers that fight or flight response.
And it's usually flight. You panic, you sell at the bottom because you have to save what's left. Then the market recovers and you're just left with a loss and a story about how investing is a scam.
No.
So the lesson is, until you have a surplus, your main job isn't to be a stock picker.
No.
Your job is to increase your income. Precisely. Build the surplus first. Durability has to come before compounding.
Which brings us to part A, the engine, cash flow. The guide outlines 5 methods, so let's start with the one we hear about constantly, online freelancing. I mean, it feels like everyone and their grandmother has freelancer in their bio these days.
They do, and that's exactly why most of them fail. The guide points out this massive positioning error. Most people try to sell skills.
Okay, give me an example.
All right, let's take a graphic designer. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah goes on a platform and her bio says, I am a graphic designer. I know Photoshop, Illustrator, and Figma.
That seems logical. I mean, that is what she does.
It is what she does, but it's not what I, as a business owner, want to buy. I don't wake up at 2 a.m. thinking, man, I really need some Figma skills right now.
Oh, right.
I wake up thinking my website looks like trash and nobody trusts my business.
Okay, I see. She's selling the tool, not the result.
Exactly. Buyers buy outcomes. So the guide suggests Sarah should change her bio to something like, I build starter brand kits that make local businesses look trustworthy.
That is 1,000,000 times better. I sell trust, not I sell pixels.
Or for a video editor, don't say I do video editing. Say, I help businesses turn one long Zoom call into a week's worth of social media clips. You're solving a time problem.
That makes the sales pitch way less awkward, too. Okay, so the guide breaks this down into a 7-day start plan. And I want to push back on this a bit because days 3 and 4 seem a little weird. But Day one.
Day one, pick one audience, just one. Gyms, dentists, real estate agents, don't be a generalist.
Day two.
Pick one micro problem. Their Instagram is empty or their website doesn't load right on my phone.
Okay, here's where I get skeptical. Days 3 and 4, the guide says, create 2 or 3 spec samples. Basically, do the work before you get the job. Isn't that just working for free?
It feels risky, I get it, but you have to flip it. You're a total stranger on the internet. Why should I trust you?
Right.
If you send me a generic message saying, I can help you, it's getting deleted. But if you send me a message saying, hey, I saw your latest podcast, I went ahead and edited a 30-second clip for TikTok, here it is, no strings attached, now you have my attention.
Because you've proven your competence immediately.
Immediately. You aren't promising value, you are demonstrating it. The wasted time is actually your customer acquisition cost.
That's a fair point. It cuts through all the noise. So day 5 is writing the offer. Days 6 and 7 are outreach.
And the key metric here is crucial. Do not track hours spent learning. Track meaningful conversations started. If you haven't talked to a human, you haven't actually done any work.
I feel called out. I love researching for hours. Okay, moving on. Strategy number 2, video editing. But specifically, retention and clarity. Why that niche?
Because in 2026, video is it's structural. It's how the internet communicates. But businesses don't need Marvel movies. They don't need explosions. They just need watchability.
Watchability. I like that. So we aren't talking about fancy transitions or anything?
No. We are talking about structure surgery. Taking a raw, rambling webinar and just cutting the ums, tightening the pauses, adding subtitles, making sure the intro hooks you in the first 3 seconds.
It's respecting the viewer's time.
Exactly. And for your portfolio, the guide suggests showing before versus afters. Show the boring, slow, original, then show your snappy edit and explain why you made those cuts. It shows you understand marketing, not just the software.
Strategy number 3 connects right to this. The short-form strategist. The data is, while people are spending over 2.5 hours a day on vertical video apps.
It's insane.
But most businesses are terrible at it. They just try to go viral.
Right, they treat it like a slot machine. Maybe this one will hit. The opportunity for a freelancer here is to sell a system, not to sell luck.
So what does a system even look like for something like TikTok?
It looks like testing. The guide suggests developing what it calls hook angles. So you have a product, you don't just make one video about it, you make, say, 10 different scripts with different psychological hooks.
Walk me through a hook angle.
Okay, angle 1 might be fear. Stop doing this one exercise if you want to save your back. Angle 2, myth busting, why everything you know about cardio is wrong.
Angle 3 could be social proof.
Exactly. Here is how John lost 20 pounds using our program. You run all of them, you look at the data, you see what works, and you double down. You're not selling I'm a genius, you're selling I run a rigorous testing process.
I love that. It takes the pressure off of being creative and puts it on being methodical. Okay, strategy 4, AI automation. Everyone is talking about AI. Use ChatGPT to make money. But this guide says the real opportunity is in workflows.
Yeah, there's a huge disconnect right now. Something like 88% of companies have AI tools. They've bought the subscriptions, but they don't know how to string them together.
They have the ingredients, but no recipe.
Perfect analogy. So the opportunity isn't I will write prompts for you, it's I will build a pipeline. For example, a lead fills out a form on your website. The automation instantly adds them to a CRM. It sends a personalized welcome email via an AI agent, and then it pings the sales team on Slack.
That sounds incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
But also complicated.
It can be. That's why the golden rule here is do it manually first. If you can't write down the steps on a piece of paper, you can't automate it. You have to document the process before you can build a robot for it.
Makes sense. Strategy 5, reselling. This one feels the most old school. Buying low, selling high. But there's a trap here.
The listing price trap. You go on eBay, you see a Beanie Baby listed for $10,000. You think, oh my God, I have that one, I'm rich.
But nobody's actually buying it for that price. It's just sitting there.
Exactly. You have to filter by sold items. That brings you back down to reality. And maybe it only ever sells for $50.
So it's purely a math game.
It's unit economics. Confirmed demand minus your fees, minus shipping, minus your time. If you can't compute the margin on a napkin in 30 seconds, it's not a deal. It's just gambling.
Okay, so we've built the engine. We've got cash coming in. Now, what do we do with it? Part B, the investing base, the root. The guide lists 5 building blocks. Let's start with the foundation, broad index funds.
This is the the unsexy hero of wealth building.
Can we just pause and explain index funds like I'm 5? Because people hear S&P 500 but don't always know what that actually is.
Sure. Instead of trying to pick the one winning needle in a huge haystack, you just buy the whole haystack.
Okay.
An index fund bundles hundreds of the top companies all together. If one of them fails, you barely even notice because the other 499 hold you up.
And the guide has some brutal data on why this beats trying to be a stock picker.
The SPVA report. It consistently shows that over a 15-year period, the vast majority of professional fund managers, people with Ivy League degrees and Bloomberg terminals, they fail to beat the simple index.
That is wild. The pros can't even beat the haystack.
So don't try to be smarter than the market. Just be the market. Think in decades, automate your contributions, and for goodness sakes, stop checking the price every day.
Block number 2 is cash.
Yeah.
This feels counterintuitive. Doesn't inflation just eat cash?
It does. But it's not an investment. It's a safety valve. Remember that panic loop we talked about?
Yeah.
Cash is what prevents that. It's dry powder.
Dry powder. I like that term.
When the market crashes and everyone is screaming, if you have cash, you're not scared. You're shopping. You can buy good assets on sale. So cash doesn't maximize your returns. It minimizes your mistakes.
Block number 3, real estate. But not buying a house to flip. The guide suggests public funds like REITs.
REIT, a real estate investment trust.
Break that down for us.
Think of it like a mutual fund, but for landlords. You buy a share of a company that owns hundreds of malls or apartment buildings or data centers. You get the dividends, which are like the rent checks, without having to fix a toilet at 3 a.m.
But it's not risk-free.
Oh, absolutely not. Real estate is highly sensitive to interest rates. If rates go up, property values often go down.
Yeah.
And a high yield, a really big dividend, usually means there's some high risk baked in there somewhere.
Got it. Block number 4, gold, the shiny rock.
The shiny rock. Look, gold pays no interest. It doesn't produce anything. But the World Gold Council models a pretty steady return for the next decade. The point of gold isn't really to get rich. It's insurance.
It's a diversifier.
Exactly. When the world feels chaotic, gold tends to hold its value. It's the sleeping at night asset.
And finally, block number 5, the one everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Crypto and CFDs. The guide calls this the high-risk satellite.
And we need to be very, very careful here.
Yeah, let's talk about CFDs first. We see ads for these trading apps everywhere. Trade Forex, trade gold. What actually is a CFD?
It stands for contract for difference. You're not actually buying the stock or the coin. You are just making a bet with a broker on whether the price will go up or down. It's a derivative. And it usually involves leverage.
Borrowing money to make the bet bigger.
Which sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
It is lethal for beginners. Regulators like ESMA and ASIC, they require these brokers to publish their stats. And the stats are that between 74 and 89% of retail accounts lose money.
Wait. Nearly 90% of people lose money.
Yes. So when your buddy tells you he made a killing on Forex, statistically, he's either lying or he got lucky once and is probably going to lose it all back next week.
So what's the guide's advice here?
If you absolutely must touch crypto or trading, treat it like a satellite. A tiny little moon orbiting your massive planet of safe index funds. Use a demo account first, predefine your risk, and never ever trade with money you can't afford to literally set on fire.
If the position size affects your sleep, it's too large.
That is the golden rule.
Okay, so we have all the pieces. We know how to make money. That's the cash flow. We know where to put it. That's the base. But information without action is just entertainment. So the guide ends with a 30-day action plan.
This is the hard part. The plan asks for 60 minutes a day.
Which sounds easy until you actually have to do it.
Right. And there's a specific trap here that the guide calls the consumption trap.
Oh, I live in this trap.
Most people spend that 60 minutes learning. They watch YouTube videos about video editing. They read blogs about freelancing. It feels like work because it's on the right topic. But it's not work. It is just entertainment.
So no tutorials during those 60 minutes?
No. The 60 minutes is for output. It's for sending cold DMs, editing a spec sample, listing an item on eBay, writing code. If you aren't building an asset or talking to a potential customer, you aren't working.
That's a tough pill to swallow. So the plan is, pick one cash flow track from Part A. Just one. Don't try to do all 5. Then spend 30 days doing 60 minutes of pure output.
And while you do that, put your investing on autopilot. Set up a direct debit to your index fund and just forget about it. Focus all your creative energy on the cash flow, not on the map.
I love that analogy we touched on earlier. Cash flow is the fuel, the investing base is the route.
It really is the perfect summary. You can have the most beautiful map, the most perfectly diversified portfolio in the world, but if you have no gas in the tank, you're just sitting in the driveway. You aren't going anywhere.
And conversely, if you have a ton of gas, lots of income, but no map,
You're just doing donuts in the parking lot. You're burning energy, but not building wealth. You need both. But in the beginning, most people spend 99% of their time on the map and 0% on the fuel.
that is the aha moment for me. We obsess over which stock is best because it's so much easier than facing the rejection of trying to sell a service.
Precisely. Buying a stock feels like progress. Cold emailing a potential client feels like work. But the work is what sets you free.
So, to you, listening right now, you have the menu. Freelancing, video, short form, AI, reselling. The challenge is just to pick one. Today, not next week.
Set the clock, 60 minutes.
I want to leave you with this thought. If you had that perfect investment map, that secret stock tip we all dream about, but you had absolutely no gas in the tank, how far would you actually get? Probably not as far as the person with a messy map, a boring index fund, but a full tank of fuel from a side hustle.
Better to be moving imperfectly than to be stalled perfectly.
Well said. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Go pick your track, start your engine, and we'll catch you on the next one.